What is up, everybody? nicklegostava here, about to be doing a video on whether Transformers Studio Series 86 is worth it or not. Are these good representations of these characters? Are these good, price efficient? Is this line worth it? This is wave 1 in its entirety of Transformers Studio Series 86. Hopefully more waves incoming. But let's start off here. I have done individual reviews on 4 of these figures. I didn't do one on Blurr or Cup, but I do want to mention a few extra things here and point out some different stuff about this line in general. So, right off the bat, you'll notice that I want to get this out of the way fast so I can get this off his arm. But I made these 3D print upgrades. He has them on his forearm. You know, there's a forearm cover there. And then there's also a little thigh cover in there on one of the legs. I just wanted to show the difference between that and that. So yeah, that's that difference. And then also grapple hook. That's an accessory that Jazz really should have come with, was a grapple hook. You know, that would have been nice. And he just didn't come with it. I just have the toothpick there because I'm going to have that's holding that in. So that's that for that. I'll make a separate video on all that once I do it. But I just wanted to get that out of the way first, just so I could show people. That's what's been getting worked on, is stuff like that. I have 2 different versions of that. So that will be for sale soon, as well as so many other upgrades for Earthrise and Siege and Studio Series 86 figures. But this figure right here, a deluxe, this wave is 3 deluxes, 2 Voyagers, and 1 leader class. So that's wave 1 of Studio Series 86. So Jazz here, the quality issues that I ran into with my Jazz was this arm was really loose. I did tighten it up with a bunch of floor polish in there, so it is tightened up now, but that was really quite loose on it. And then this right here, there's no real way for me to tighten that up. That's just really loose on this one. So there wasn't really a way to tighten that up. I tried to drip some down in there on the front and the back, but it didn't really do anything. But that and these clip issues with the knee not clipping in. So that's the issues you may run into with your Deluxe Jazz. As well, this is all clear plastic. Who knows how long that's going to last over time. But for a modern Deluxe figure, I still feel like they shrunk him down a little bit to make the Voyager Hotrod look bigger. So that's just what I think with Jazz here. I do think he could have been a little bigger. Here he is with the Power of the Primes Jazz, which I did not have for that review. So that's what that's looking like. I mean, you could just see he dwarfs it. Just wow. And I did already do some custom paint work on him, but yeah, that's what that's looking like. So this was, I believe, $15 when it came out. You can even still get this on Big Bad Toy Store. Not sponsored, but this is $20. So that's that. And then you have the other 2 deluxes here. Cup. The issues with Cup right off the bat is the face sculpt. This face sculpt is not the best for sure. I mean, that's really off-putting to this. And then the chest here, that could have really easily been circumvented if they just had these pieces hinge back some. Like if those were just on a hinge and they hinged back to be back a little more. And you know me, I would have preferred the glass to not be this trans clear plastic. I would have rather that have just been painted the color that it's supposed to be. That would have been more accurate. But yeah, there's Cup. I mean, some issues that people have run into is the arms just like to fall off. They do come off for the part of the movie, which they really could have just did the mushroom peg arms how they usually do, and you could have just popped those off. So them weakening that part of the figure may be a negative, because a lot of people have run into that issue where the limbs come off way too easy. Luckily, I have not run into that issue on my Cup. But all in all, I mean, is it the best Cup we've gotten on a retail level as a deluxe? Yeah. I mean, that Generations one is trash. And then the Titans Return one, I mean, the colors are all right on that. And the face sculpt, I would say the face sculpt is better on that, even though it's not ultra accurate. But face sculpt is definitely downside. I might try to do a little bit of custom sculpting and paint work on it to improve it, but I mean, the light piping is not very good on it either. I mean, you got to really have light directly behind that. I thought I had my little push LED here, but I don't. But so there's him. At least he came with the accessory, you know, the Energon Goodie. So that's better than nothing. Let's move him off to the side, and let's talk about Blurr. Now, my Blurr has an issue that really annoys me, and I really wish I paid closer attention, but I think it was the only Blurr in the store when I got it, was this nick right here. That's not supposed to be there. It's like a cut directly in the plastic on his arm there, so that's an issue there. Something they really could have easily did to improve this figure's like overall look was to have this part hinge onto the arm, but then you wouldn't be able to put the arm all the way back. So that's probably why they didn't do it. I know they remolded this from some other Blurr, I wanna say, but they could have really did better on this. The light piping on this isn't too bad. It's like this whole back portion of his head, so it can pick up light, but I don't know. I do like light piped eyes when they're done right, but I just think for consistency with like the more modern Transformers lines that they've been doing without light piped eyes for the most part, besides Siege, some of them, is to have painted eyes uniformly across the board. That's something I would have liked to see. But yeah, the quality issues with him, you might run into that little cut there. I'm assuming it's something from the factory that just happens getting that piece off of the conveyor belt or whatever. It just happens to some of the figures, but all in all, he's all right. Just a remold of some other figure. He does come with this accessory. You know, you got to point that out nowadays if a Deluxe comes with an accessory because it's freaking rare. So there's that. And then Hotrod. What else to say about Hotrod that I didn't already say in his review? Is he worth the Voyager? I mean, today, just Hasbro with their penny pinching. You can go to the store and you can see gigantic plastic figures with no visible hollowness for $20. So it's just all this, the hollowness that they do on the other figures. I think that's why they did Voyager on him, because he doesn't necessarily have that hollowness. I think that's why, but they still probably could have given this to us as a Deluxe, and they still should have not had the hollowness. But that's just something that does annoy me. It doesn't annoy other people as much, but it does annoy me. And this part right here in the red, I did have another one that I did get for vehicle mode that I did paint those parts. So that's what that looks like. If anybody was wondering, I also painted the back tire that was unpainted. So that's what Hotrod is looking like there. Is he worth it? I mean, clearly, if I got two of them, I do like it quite a bit. Oh yeah, also I forgot to mention I did get another Jazz to have some other custom paint work on him. I'm going to have a 3D print thing for the front and back tire to put like some kind of hubcap so it looks a little more uniform for the front and back. So yeah, and I did some other custom paint on this white part up top. I know that looks a little odd carrying through, but I'd rather have the red stripe carry all the way through than some little white part on the back. So there's that. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Clearly you'll know when you're watching, but trying to keep it down a little bit. And then Scourge. Now this one, I kind of feel like they should have put Cyclonus in the Studio Series 86 line. I think Cyclonus is better. I actually have him over here. He was in Kingdom for, I don't know why I thought he was in Studio Series 86, other than he was in the 86 movie. But yeah, he was in Kingdom. He was definitely harder to find. I mean, they were both hard to find because, you know, Hasbro nowadays, you got to friggin' run to 500 stores just to find stuff. But there you go. That's what they're looking like together. I didn't have that comparison for that review. So, yeah. So, these really could have been in either or line, but I think that this is the better figure and should have been in Studio Series 86. But yeah, the wrist is definitely a problem here. You know, you could easily break that thumb trying to turn it. In my review, I did turn it, but it's very, very hard. At least on this side. This side seems to be hard, but still doable. So you don't really have wrist swivel on one side. And that's just a quality issue on him. But other than that, I mean, like I said, if you were to skip any in this line, I would probably skip Blurr and skip Scourge, honestly. If you get Jazz, Hotrod, and if you don't already have like a B&B Grimlock or something, this is your best bet, this Grimlock. And I mean, technically, this is another figure, so you got Hey, Cup, have you seen Springer around? I haven't seen Springer or Ultra Magnus anywhere. Well, you missed out on Springer and Siege, and Ultra Magnus Earth mode is coming in Kingdom, so you're kind of fucked. What? 6, but I don't really consider this is just an accessory, so like I said in that review, that's not all that great. But Grimlock himself, you'll notice that I do have the symbol taken off there. Put this in the back. I did get the movie busted out for this. But yeah, that looks better without that plastic part on the front, in my opinion at least, because in most lighting it would cover up the Autobot symbol, and that's just kind of not what I liked. But if that piece of gray plastic, the trans clear, if that was lighter color or like yellow trans clear, this would have been a near perfect figure. I mean, really, it is good. Also, the dinosaur mode, something I did forget to mention in my initial comparison, the teeth do not carry over to the front like they did on the Power of the Primes and, of course, the B&B of that. So that was another negative in Dino mode. But yeah, all in all, is Transformers Studio Series 86 line worth it? You know, they booted off the Bay movies of a line that was supposed to be just for the Bay movies, the Studio Series line. So right off the bat, that made some people mad. I don't really care. I like a lot of different Transformers things. I like the Bay movies for what they are. You know, they're a different thing. I love G1, and I even like the Unicron trilogy. So there you go. I do think all in all, for the most part, it's worth it. Like I said, if you had to skip 2 figures of this line, Blurr first, Scourge second. That's just what I think. I mean, it really all depends on what characters you like the most. But this, I think the necessities of this line, if you were only able to get 2, definitely Jazz. I love Jazz. And Hotrod. So those 2. And I have seen these in some stores. They've gotten some relatively decent stock. But yeah, Blurr. I was trying to get them like as early as possible, so they were picked over with their first few stockings in the store. But you can probably get your hands on these if you make it to the store quick. So, in closing, there is one more thing I want to do. Let's move all of these out of the way for a nice surprise with Grimlock here. I will compare him with all of the other B&B Dinobots, since some people were asking about that in that video. I only compared him with one. I only compared him with Swoop. But here he is with the rest of them. I still think the rest of the Dinobots did fare better than Grimlock in the Power of the Primes thing. But yeah, I think all in all, if you wanted to get him to replace your B&B Grimlock, of course not for Volcanicus, but for just a better Grimlock, then that's definitely serviceable. Look at that. That looks great to me. That looks great. So if you enjoyed and you made it this far in the video, please be sure to drop a like. Please be sure to subscribe if you have not already. And, I mean, notifications don't work very well, so just check the channel. I got new videos coming out every week. Every week you're going to get some videos, hopefully. So there you go. Tell me in the comments below what other Studio Series 86 figures you would like to see. Definitely Blitzwing. I would like to see a reissue of Ironhide and Ratchet through that line with some changes, of course. I would, of course, like them to not have the clear windshield and have just the plastic and then painted windshield, but they wouldn't do that. But since those were so hard to get, I still haven't gotten them. And then, I mean, the Coneheads were in the movie. If you're just doing people that were on screen in the 86 movie, there's still so many characters they could give us through that line. They could give us a new Brawn, since, I mean, the Titans Return Brawn right here is not that bad, but they could just do a lot more with this, like, very G1 accuracy that they're going for. So, him, and then, like I said, Blitzwing, and I've mentioned it in several videos. If you watch my other reviews, I mentioned the other characters, but I don't want to elongate this anymore. Have a great one. Peace. Bye-bye.